official. You just clapped, Brad. It's official.
It's official.
It's as official as the Rams leaving St. Louis.
You son of a bitch. Hi, and welcome to Here's the Pitch, and I'm already pissed off at my guest, as you probably heard what he said right there before we started. I'll get into that in a second, but welcome to Here's the Pitch, sponsored by Masses Restaurants in St. Louis. Yes, St. Louis, no longer home of the St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf. I appreciate Mr. Bubba the Love Sponge here joining me. Does anyone ever call you Todd or ever, or no, Todd?
Oh, I changed my name legally in 1998 to Bubba the Love Sponge Clem. I don't know what I was thinking. But when people call me Todd now, it kind of like, I'm not trying to be like, not trying to be a dick or nothing, but it kind of like shows that, okay, douchebag, you know that you've done, okay, you Googled me and you found out my real name. So like, you know, like my mom calls me Bubba. So no, only douchebags call me Todd.
Well, I won't call him Todd, even though I am a douchebag. We started.
You're not a douchebag. You just live in St. Louis, poor little guy.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I did some research. I was listening to some of your old interviews with Howard, and at one point, you said to him, you know, I've been blackballed. Do you still feel like you've been blackballed?
Fuck yeah, I've been blackballed by conventional radio, absolutely, and blackballed by Sirius XM as well. Yesterday they announced Howard 5 more years. I emailed him, congratulated him, emailed me back. I love Howard. I would never have even probably be speaking to you or have the global thumbprint that I even still have if it wasn't for Howard. But yeah, I've been blackballed from regular radio and satellite. Absolutely.
What'd you think of Howard's deal? Because he does this all the time when he gets to a contract. Oh, am I going to stay? There's really no reason why he should leave, right? I mean, he has it perfect there.
He's got it perfect. I don't know what the financial deal, well, I've heard 5 years. I've heard $600 million for 5 years, $120 million a year. I don't know if it would be that much because I know you scale back in days. But if it is, God bless him. I mean, I still listen to Howard as much as I possibly can, even though I do mornings. I try to catch a replay. Howard's a friend, and Howard's Howard. Any other radio personality that ever talks shit about Howard Stern is just a little bitch. Even if you've worked for him, you've been fired, you're blackballed, you still got to fucking respect the man. You've got to absolutely respect him. He is the king of our media. Of our radio world, so to speak.
And as I watched your Twitch channel this morning, I was thinking, if Sirius is smart, they do a premium, and if Howard would be up for this, it does an hour live on TV. Then you have the Sirius app. You can only watch an hour of his morning show. You don't get the whole thing. That way you still have to buy Sirius, but you charge $20 a month and see if people want to watch Howard instead of Twitch in the morning or the Today Show. Now you can literally put Howard on TV. Because he does put video clips out there. He puts his interviews out there, but they're later.
And they do a really good job at it. I mean, it's slick. It's well produced. So, I think Twitch could, I bet you, I would be willing to think that Sirius, if they paid him what he's worth and what he got, then they probably own the distribution rights of all those video clips. And hell, he does, 4, 5, 8, 10 million on YouTube. I mean, hell, that's a ton of money that Sirius can, recoup on their investment with him. I mean, unless he cut such a great deal that he owns that too, then he's just the man. I mean, then we're just all a bunch of bitches to him at that point.
And in this email, I'm not going to ask you to tell me the contents, but at this point, do you go, all right, it's time for you to get me back, do whatever you can. I want to be
No, not at all. It was I could almost verbatim tell you, because Howard likes things short. I said another 5 years. Wow, honored to call you a friend. Keep killing it, buddy. Say hi to Beth. And he sent back, said, hey, thank you, bud. And there's not a lot of us left, you and me. That's just pretty what he said. But no, he knows I'd love to come back. I don't want to put the pressure on him. He doesn't, the one thing, when I met Howard, God, in 2005, when I was interviewing with him, he made it from the day I met him first time in person. He was really, really adamant about, don't get me involved in your deals. Like, go cut your deal. Go make the money. Don't get me involved. And so, I've put my nose in there that I love to be back. But I've learned how to survive without Sirius XM, and it's made me stronger and better and leaner. I mean, I'm still fat, but business leaner.
And I want people to know that if you missed our first conversation, we talked about how Bubba ended up at Sirius. So I was really interested to hear all the behind the scenes stuff. But I am curious what this blackball thing. Do you think it was the Clear Channel stuff? Do you think it was the Hulk Hogan stuff, or is it just everything in between that just basically sort of kind of screwed things up for you for a while there?
I think it's the whole body of work. I think, I think that it started out with probably the sex tape, and then it's the Nielsen issue, and so it was a perfect storm. I've done a lot of it to myself. I really have. I can't blame anybody but myself on some stupid stuff that I've done. But with this documentary that I got coming out, I think it'll tell. It's not going to vindicate me, and it's not what I want. I don't want vindication. I just want the side of the story that has not been published by the media, and because it's not cool to make me look like a victim, and I have been a victim on some of this stuff, and I've also been the culprit of some of this stuff. But let people see the stuff that's not been reported, and they can form their own opinion. 50% will still hate me, and 50% will say, "Wow, I didn't know that went down like that."
What is the name of the documentary? Where will we be able to find it? I know it's probably still in its early processes.
Yeah, it's so early. I wanted to call it "Video Killed the Radio Star" is what I wanted to call it. They think that that's too event specific with regards to just one event of fuckery inside my life. So, it's going to be, I don't know what it's going to be called, but, and, it's not even been picked up. We're shooting it now. And that whole documentary world is not nearly as sexy as what people think, either. You shoot a pilot, you see if you can get some interest, see if you can get a series funded. So it's a whole world in itself.
I'm assuming now we did cover a little bit of the Hogan tape last time, but it's something that really changed your life, right? I mean, that one little instant, isn't it crazy how one thing like that? And I was curious about, does Hulk finally understand that you weren't behind it? I mean, it seems like with kind of the settlement I saw, he understands it. I mean, you had the camera, but you didn't distribute it. And I think
he knows that. He just can't. He's been so highly compensated that he doesn't want to get into it, and I wouldn't either, because you don't want to remind people of that event, especially when it wasn't cool to him, and I don't mean anybody to take what I'm saying as that, but I mean, Hogan's made 50 or 60 million from it. I lost my job and my credibility, and so one guy's on the good side of it, and one guy's on the bad side of it.
Although he did get the money, but there is a part of that tape that does not make him look favorable and has kind of screwed him a little bit.
Hey, pay me $66 million, and you can think of me any way you want. But hey, I mean, I shouldn't be saying that. That's not corporate Bubba. Sorry.
No, new Bubba, 2021 Bubba. Eric Bischoff, I read in a podcast.
Oh, he hates my guts, and he's the biggest two-faced motherfucker that ever lived. Oh my God, whatever, Eric. Don't try to stop. You fucking look pathetic.
He said you took advantage of him, that you'd have him on, you had Hulk on at times where he shouldn't be on.
I took advantage of him when he's using my show as a delivery mechanism to talk bad about Charlie, and he called my show every day. Hogan called my show every day with some type of agenda. Nobody used anybody. If anything, I got used. Fuck. Shut up, Bischoff. God.
Would you like to get in the ring with that guy? I mean, he's older.
I got a lot of respect for Eric Bischoff, but the latest shit he's been talking about me is bullshit. He's a great guy. Probably physically could kick my ass when I'm 54 years old. What, he's 60? We got a 60 and a 50-year-old. We're not Roy Jones or Mike Tyson. Fuck that. He's just been talking a lot of shit about it. I mean, I wish him the best. He's brilliant at a lot of things, and he's also brilliant at embellishing the truth. Fucking asshole.
I like when people go on and on, but I wish him the best.
But I wish him the very best living in Casper, Wyoming, or where the fuck he's living. Good luck to you, Eric. You're a great guy. You made a lot of money. You did better than I did. Fuck off.
Yeah, well, that's an obvious, and maybe we'll get into that a little bit here in a bit. But I wanted to kind of run back through some fun moments. And we talked about your wedding in 2007 that you had Howard on. You had Howard and his crew come down, and I was watching this special that Howard TV and Doug Goodstein put together, and it was behind the scenes. And it's really the only time I think I've ever seen Howard on a plane, at a birthday party, just kind of being mellow. And I thought it was one of the coolest things, and I had never seen it, and I think I saw it on your channel. Tell me about that weekend when you get the sense that their whole crew is coming down, what it meant to you to have Howard come down.
I don't even really know how special, as it's happening. I don't know if this sounds stupid or not, but as it's happening, I didn't even realize how special of a moment it was, and how how sacrilegious it is for Howard to go anywhere, and how he doesn't like to go outside of his bubble. And I think Howard had talked about on his show that after my wedding, it inspired him to propose to Beth, because he just saw how beautiful it was, and if that makes any sense. But I think he was very inspired by it. I think it's one of the reasons why we still keep in touch as friends. I think he had a good time, and we respected his privacy and made it comfortable for him. And it was so sacred that I didn't even know how sacred it was while it was happening.
And what I got out of it was the fact that his crew even got like Artie and even Sal and Richard, which they came into your show and created.
Fred.
Yeah, everybody, Robin, everybody was there. I mean, Doug, Tim Sabian, like all these people that have been on here, but it was interesting. And of course, Artie. I always ask, how's Artie? Do we talk to Artie? Can we get a hold of Artie? What is going on with Artie? Do you have any?
I'm in the same world as you, bud. I've even got a hold of some of his comedian friends. Tim can't get a hold of him. Opie. I can't. It doesn't seem. I had Nick DiPaolo on, which is Artie's former buddy, and as soon as I brought Artie up, Nick didn't really seem to want to talk about it either. So I don't know. I'm afraid that the inability to get a hold of Artie might be something not so good. Artie's been completely ghost now for 30 to 45 days. I don't know what that means. I hope it doesn't mean what I think it might mean.
Well, did you hear his conversation with Nick at all? I did listen to it. It was very odd, I would say. It was.
I heard a little bit of it, and I heard so little of it that I started listening to it, and I'm like, it doesn't seem right. Something seemed off, like they're mad at each other.
Yeah, I didn't understand. This was his, like, hey, I'm coming back out, and then nothing has happened since. I just want him to be good. I want him to be.
And Artie could kill it right now. He really could, Brad. He could go out if somebody could handle him and get him, on a pod, a regular, consistent podcast with a Twitch and a YouTube, and somebody just, spent some time with Artie. He's so fucking brilliant. He really is. I just hope that he's, not on the shit and not doing stupid stuff, because he's just so brilliant.
We had Brent came on and was great, and I talked to him about you, and we've talked about each other before. But how are you guys? You guys seem like you're okay these days.
No, Brent's actually working a little bit on this documentary. Okay. So Brent and I are more than good. And listen, I'd hire Brent back in a minute. I think Brent can cobble together enough with his Twitch channel and some of the other things that he's doing. I think his wife might be doing OnlyFans. I think he's just, flim-flamming, paying the bills and sleeping till, 12 or 1 and staying high and drunk. And, but I would hire Brent back in a minute. I really would. Brent's one of the OGs in my world.
I feel like you two together and then a couple other guys, now you have this master plan possibly together. But I don't get the sense he wants to do anything. He wants to do stuff on his own, right? I mean, that's what it feels like, at least.
I'll tell you who I like to work with, and this probably would really, you are not going to believe it. But I'd like to get Opie down here and do some stuff with Opie. I really would. I've had him on my show a few times, and him and I gel well. And I'd love to see how, good radio guys want to do want to do radio with good radio guys, and I would love to do radio with him. Now I had Anthony on. Anthony and I didn't gel as well as Opie and I did. Opie and I are very similar. It'd be interesting. It'd be an interesting dichotomy to see how it would go if him and I, instead of him being a guest, him being in my studio and us doing a show together. I think that would be fun.
You're part of your network, which you have, right? This giant network that you're kind of creating. It starts in the...
trying to, but yeah, I would love for Opie to be part of my world, but I'd like to do a show with him, and I'm still old school where, I can't Zoom people in. I'm going to have you in the studio. That's just the way I am.
Again, that wedding, I forgot to. We talked a little bit about it, but then I finally watched Ronnie's performance at your wedding. And I've been that guy before, so when Howard sort of accosted him on his own show, I thought, man, I feel kind of bad for Ronnie because I've been there. I've been that drunk at a wedding and been that guy, but I don't think I ever pulled the microphone away and started yelling and then dancing with other guys' girls. But You seem to enjoy that he was doing that, right? That's what you're about.
I didn't stop it. Ronnie was having a good time, and my family, I mean, Heather's family, her mom and dad had already left, and they'd taken. We had the part of the ceremony where the kids were going to be there for the first hour, and then after the kids had left with the grandparents, we were going to, just be more wilder and get drunk or whatever. So the kids had already left, and I didn't. Language doesn't bother me, So he said, "Let's fuck some whores." I mean, when you invite Ronnie to your wedding, that's what you might get. So I didn't offend me. Howard was more mad about it than I was.
I think it was part of a bit, probably. But when you first showed up at Sirius the day it was 1906 and walked into Howard's studio, Ronnie was up your ass. Was that real? I mean, and you guys.
No. Ronnie and I are so cool. We keep in touch privately as well. So, I think Ronnie and I had kind of like, hey, I'm going to give you a hard time when I come in there. I'm like, okay, old timer, I'm going to fuck back with you. We had a little discussion before.
I did not understand why Ronnie was funny. Like, it never made sense to me why Ronnie was funny. And I think here in the last 5 years, if you go back and look at some YouTube stuff, my wife was like, "What are you laughing at?" I'm like, "Ronnie is screaming at Greg Carmel for no reason, like, just yelling at Howard TV people."
He's funny as fuck. Ronnie's it's an acquired taste, but once you understand Ronnie's humor, then he's funnier than shit.
What was it? So, and then Brent and I were talking too about your time at Sirius when you were working in Tampa, and you're on Sirius, but now you've got these people trying to control the show, and it's kind of like what you were going through at Clear Channel. I think, tell me a little bit about that time where there was bits where people were like, "No, Bubba, can't do that," and it sort of became that whole thing that you were going through at Clear Channel. Or was it as bad as Brent made it sound, or was it kind of, because Brent seemed like he was kind of dealing with it legally most of the time?
Well, there's the terrestrial world we lived in at that point. We were exclusive to Sirius for 2 years, for 06, 7, for 2006 and 2007. We only did Sirius. And then all of a sudden, regular radio comes along, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to pay you a ton of money to come back to Tampa." And so for mornings, and so there was for 2008 and 2009, we did 2 shows a day. We did a morning show and then did an afternoon drive show, and it damn near killed me. So then, we lived in 2 different worlds. But then, the satellite world started getting a little more censored, and just I think that they resented the fact that I'd now gone and was doing regular radio as well. They began telling us that we could and could not do some various stunts that we wanted to do. But at the time, I thought it was fucked up and it's bullshit. We should be able to do what we want. But some of them were pretty. I can certainly understand where they would have a problem with them. Of course, I took it under the guise of being censored and them fucking with me and stuff like that as it was happening. But it was probably, they were probably too much. They were involving there were some pretty taking an RC car and strapping a dildo onto it and then driving it into a girl's vagina. I mean, just crazy stuff.
Bubba, what were you doing back then? Come on.
Was doing that. I was taping a dildo to an RC car and then driving it into a girl was like like remote control. Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Is Tim Sabean the one that has to call you and tell you, "No, we're not doing it"? Is he the bad guy?
Getting a big fight with Tim, and then poor Tim was just relaying what Greenstein probably said. So, I was impossible back then. I should have just said, "Listen, man, these checks are cashing. I'm on Howard's stage. Fuck it. I'll read Bible stories." But I didn't do that.
How are you in Greenstein these days?
Not good. I've begged for forgiveness. I've literally begged. I've literally said, "Dear Scott, I'm so sorry for being impossible. Please forgive me. I'll do anything." Nothing. Crickets. Which is worse. I'd rather have a guy cuss you out and say, "Man, you suck, fuck off," than crickets. Yeah. That's what chicks do, is they play cricket games.
Ghosting you is what he's ghosting. Yeah, is what the kids say.
Ghost.
Well, the songs were funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you've got a new crew of people now, Lummy and Seth, and so people who've listened to you for years. As I read, because we don't get you here.
Yeah, I look fat as fuck on the screen. Whew.
You do have it close to your face, I would say, but it's for proper lighting.
Wow.
We were worried more about the lighting than we were how you looked on the camera. I'm a little frightened of you, Bubba.
Make sure your kids and wife don't come home and see this shit. They're gonna firewall me or some bullshit.
You mentioned Howard's. Give me your favorite Howard story. Do you have a favorite? I mean, we talked about the wedding, but do you have one that you think about when people say, "Oh, tell us about Howard"? Give me a favorite moment of yours. The fact that you get to call his show is so cool, and then he respects you. I mean, it seems like as a radio guy, this is exactly what you would ever want. Is there something that you think of when someone says something like this to you?
There's two things that my two favorite Howard, three. One, he came to my wedding, which I'll never forget. Just, again, we spoke about that earlier, how special it is. Two, he never, ever forgets a birthday card. I always get a handwritten birthday card from him. Something simple. Happy birthday, thinking of you, H. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And then the other thing is probably one of my cool things is when he was doing the Howard Film Festival our first year, and they had him sequestered kind of in this little corner at the film festival, and he was doing some play-by-play with Robin on the guests that were there and stuff. He specifically went because he knew I was there. I was there part of his crew. He specifically went and got me so I could sit down and help him host there for a little bit, which was super cool. And then the other thing that a lot of people don't know that's even more special than all of it is that he invited me to his wedding. I was one of very few people that got to go to the night he got married, to Beth at, I forget what that place was called, somewhere in New York, somewhere fancy. But, I was at the same table as Sam Simon and right across from Billy Joel and Donald Trump. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool when Howard Stern, invited you to his wedding. That's something that I'll never forget.
That is pretty cool. So we're running low on time. I feel like if I talk 5 more minutes, you might pass out. You look a little tired.
No, you can do whatever you want. Do I look that bad?
No, I feel like I'm boring you.
No, stop being a pussy. We can go on forever. God, Brad, where's your wife at?
I have one question for you because I was thinking about this. I looked, your dealings with Tucker Carlson for so many years. Did you ever think about being a political commentary guy? Because, you mentioned Alex Jones earlier, and he went off the deep end and started doing conspiracy theories, but it works for him. Did you ever think about kind of molding yourself into that? Because I could
do that in a minute. I could absolutely do that in a minute. It's, but I think that's, and I would do well because I'm a radio guy. I could, I'm a showman, but that space is so crowded. The angry white guy. Shapiro's killing it right now. I'm not nearly as smart as those guys. I can string together some white trash, street level politic, opinions, but I'm not nearly as well read as those guys are. I'm not. They're Tucker is so well read. Ben Shapiro's so well read. Michael Savage is so well read. Glenn Beck's more well read than me. So I stay out of that. I touch on it a little bit on my show, but more kind of from a common guy's perspective. But I think the people in that space, it's already crowded, I like my little kind of guy show, guy soap opera. We don't do the stunts or have the strippers anymore, but I kind of like the lane that I'm in. And I think I've kind of figured out how to distribute it a little bit more, massively. We're picking up some FM affiliates. I'm 54 years old. I'm able to pay my bills, I don't have a plane and a hot wife and all that bullshit anymore, but I'm still pretty happy.
What are those guitars behind you? What's going on in your house?
Oh, that's those are just some of my old, I'm in my apartment, and that's just some of my old from being in radio, guitars and gold records and stuff like that.
Anybody signed?
Sitting in my recline, kind of like your memorabilia behind you. Of Kurt Warner's jockstrap in '89, I got some stuff.
Some of these people I actually met, so I
met every one of those. Everybody that's signed has been on my show and whatever. Us guys, as we get older, Brad, we like to hang on to yesteryear, so we like to hang shit up. I can see that you're down in your little man cave down there, or your basement or whatever. Yep.
This is where
goes to the upstairs. The rest of the family's allowed.
I find solace.
Only Dad's down here.
Oh, this is my studio. This is where, I'm very, very busy down here.
Right. Even though you're looking at porn half the time.
No, never. Don't do that.
Anything? Gotten good. Free porn's gotten pretty good. I'm telling you.
Is there anything we've missed in our conversation as I wrap up here? I feel like like I said, I showed you my little list here. I worked very hard on it.
Listen, you need to stop being a little shy pussy, and we need to do this however often you want. You want to do this every 3-4 months? Fuck, I'm up for it. You're my friend. I like you. A lot of people don't like me, but we gel, and fuck, let's just do this whenever you want. Stop being a pussy. Just ask.
I did. That's what I did. I said, let's do it again. And now that I know that the invitation's
there. My friend, you know what you should do is you should come down here for spring training if we ever have it. But I think St. Louis is now in Arizona.
No, we're across the way. We're in West Palm, where I will winter one day, so I may make my way over to Tampa at some point.
If you ever came down, my studios are in Tampa, right by the airport. I would more than love to have you come, tour the place. But more importantly, you could do a show here if you wanted.
Let's do it. I like this idea.
Podcast.
We've now booked myself to do a show in Tampa.
Do you ever come to Tampa?
I have not been to Tampa in a long time. No, I always go to the other side. I like the other side. The Cardinals have trained there. I used to work there for a while, so I know that West Palm, Jupiter. I like where Robert Kraft was going. He had this kind of area right next to the hotel.
You liked the Chinese J-Spa. You filthy, nasty St. Louis person.
I will tell you this. I did not know.
Ravioli eating motherfucker.
I will tell you that I did not know that was going on. But that weekend, I was in the shop next to it buying swim trunks. And I was like, damn, I was at the wrong damn store.
Man, $60 could have got me a pair of swim trunks or something over there.
Well, we're Midwesterners. We're Midwesterners forever, right? Like you, Indiana, you're a Hoosier. I'm a... Whatever I am, I'm a Hoosier.
Listen, my buddy Kenny Wallace I think Kenny Wallace still lives in St. Louis or has a place. I don't know.
He does.
Might have moved back to North Carolina. I don't know.
I believe he lives in Arnold, which is the yes, it is very.
Kenny Schrader still lives in Missouri. I think.
Yeah, and there's one. I thought there was one other racer.
Carl Edwards, I think, is from Missouri.
Columbia, Missouri.
Boyer is from Missouri.
Yeah,
the Show Me State.
It is. We're the Show Me State.
Don't forget, Bonnie and Clyde had their famous shootout in Joplin, Missouri. Don't forget about that.
All right. Is there anything we missed? I think, like I said, I'm at the end of my prepared.
You're your rope with me. I'm at the end of my rope with you.
We need to wait another 3 months. No, I will definitely take you up on it because I think people enjoy.
Absolutely. You're a great historian and a great podcast guy and a great dude. You got great hair and you're Midwestern. And, fuck, what is not to like about you, Brad, from STL?
Thank you, Bubba. I appreciate it. And hopefully maybe one of the FM stations here will pick you up. We need some fun in the morning.
That ain't happening. That is not going to happen.
All right. Well, we'll look.
I was on a radio station like 1480 or something. Did you know that?
No.
It was called St. Louis Man Radio or something.
Oh, the Man. 1380, the Man. Were you on that?
Yes, and I was on there, and this guy was shady as hell. This dude who owned it, and it was like brokered kind of deal. And I was on there, and he took me to a St. Louis when I was dating Nikki. Her dad from St. Charles was a Baldwin. Yeah, this guy who owned this radio station had seats right behind home plate. And we went to the game, St. Louis Dodgers game, and got to eat in this fancy restaurant by underneath the dugout kind of deal and everything.
I don't know him, but I know his name is Dan Marshall, and that is one of the funniest moments in St. Louis radio history because he started a station called The Man, and then there was another station called The Woman, which was all women doing,
Right, and guess who I got to hang out with and became kind of friends with? God, that motherfucker was a fighter. He was a goon.
Tony Twist.
Tony Twist, the Twister. Yes, he was. Now, is he still live in St. Louis?
He lives right next to Kenny Wallace. I'm fairly certain. I know he lives south. So yes, he's around here, and yes, and is
he well liked in St. Louis still?
He's like an icon. I mean, the guy never lost a fight as the St. Louis Blue. He was,
and let me tell you something. I hung out with him a few times, and he was a badass. I didn't want nothing to do with him. He was so cool.
I'll tell you a story here, since we're having fun. I used to produce television for St. Louis Blues hockey, and Tony Twist was an analyst. And so I was a smartass. I don't know if, believe it or not, I was a smartass. And so he would be the analyst, and I could get in his ear and screw with him. And I would say, "God, Tony, that's not right." And he said, "Well, one more comment like that, Brad, and I'm coming back." And I'm like, "Okay, Dad," scared. and we went to break. He took his mic off. He came into the control room, and he came at me like this, and I thought it was over. I just saw stars, and he didn't hit me, but he was like ready to hit me. And the guy's a little kind of kooky. I mean, the guy was an NHL.
He's full blown crazy.
I was ready to get knocked out, and I would have a story at least, but I decided never again. Tony, great point, Tony. Keep going, Tony. It was no more.
You're the best, Tony. You could have knocked that guy out, Tony. They don't even really have goons anymore in hockey, do they?
One or two teams, you know, the goon has to be skilled as well. You know, you can be a big guy. I think Ryan Reeves, who used to play for the Blues, I don't think he was a Lightning, but I know he played for Vegas. He was like the last quote goon, but he had talent. He could score 5-6 goals, and that's what hockey.
We had a guy named Rudy Poshek back in the day.
He was a Blue.
We had Enrico Ciccone, who was a big goon, and we had a bunch of guys back. But it seems like now you just find like a real tough defenseman that can kind of fight a little bit too, you know.
And I'm sure you know this, but like once you get to know these guys, it's crazy. They're the nicest guys. The guy that they fought and at the night of the game, they're out having drinks after. It's the craziest world you'd ever think of.
Oh yeah, I was talking to Tony one time, and he'd be like, Tony would be like, this would be my buddy, but I had to go out there, and I'd literally be all there and they say, okay, I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to drop gloves. I'm gonna have to beat your ass. And he's like, okay, Jim, we'll go ahead and try. You know, let's go ahead and dance the dance. You know, but Tony was a great guy. He was telling me one time about the story about when he was getting ready to get his new contract, and he got his motorcycle accident right before his big contract he was going to get. Kind of screwed him a little bit.
Yeah, no, he's lived a fast life, I would say. He actually married a girl from my high school and that I was friends with, so it was interesting to see those two together.
Did he eat fried ravioli, you think?
Probably a lot of toasted ravioli and square pizza.
Yeah, what's that pizza called everybody goes crazy over? I had it one time. I'm like, this shit sucks.
Emos.
Is that... Did I just really mess up with the St. Louis crowd by saying Emos is no good?
Yes, but I don't...
Okay, Emos...
See, that's one thing, too, that I get pissed off about, because Jimmy Kimmel did this one time. His wife's from St. Louis, I think, and they had he's like, this is the most terrible pizza, and people get all pissed off. It's like, shut up, who cares?
It's the cheese. It's the greasy cheese they use.
Provel is what it's called, yeah. It's
people
delicious.
Get all mad about it. You St. Louis has got so many other things to be mad about. Don't be mad about Evo sucking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But STL Masses, my sponsor, they have delicious pizza. Masses Restaurants.
That's where you need to go. Screw Evos. Let's go to STL Masses, right?
Let's do. Bubba, I have nothing else unless you want to continue.
No, I'm done. I'm done with it. I got to watch some porn now.
All right. Well, I thank Bubba. I'm going to go to Tampa, hang out with Bubba, and you should check out his show everywhere you find podcasts on Apple. You can find him on Twitch. You can watch it right there live in the morning and check for local affiliates. I thank Bubba. We're going to do this again every 2-3 months, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be a lot skinnier next time you see me. I'm starting to diet soon.
Good luck. What are you going to do? How are you going to do this? What's the diet?
I don't know. I just said it. I don't mean it.
Thank you, Bubba. We'll see you soon.
Bye, Brad. See you later, buddy.
Bye, buddy.